By 1809, Napoleon Bonaparte ruled most of continental Europe. From Lisbon to Warsaw, kings obeyed him, borders bent to his will, and French armies stood undefeated. Yet one enemy remained beyond his grasp: Britain, an island nation Napoleon could not conquer, protected by the Royal Navy, financed by global trade, and determined to resist French domination. Between 1809 and 1812, Europe became the battlefield of a different kind of war. Not just cannons and soldiers, but economics, diplomacy, rebellion, and endurance. This was Napoleon's war against Britain, and it would decide the fate of his empire. Unable to defeat Britain at sea after the disaster of Trafalgar, Napoleon turned to a bold alternative. He would strangle Britain economically. The Continental System, launched in 1806 and enforced aggressively after 1809, banned all European trade with Britain. Ports were closed. British goods were seized. Smugglers were punished. Napoleon believed Britain's economy dependent on exports would collapse. But the reality was different. Britain controlled the seas. British merchants found new markets in Latin America, India, and the Ottoman Empire. British factories kept running. Meanwhile, Europe suffered. Merchants went bankrupt. Ports like Amsterdam and Hamburg declined. Farmers couldn't sell their goods. Instead of breaking Britain, the Continental System began turning Europe against Napoleon. The real battlefield of Napoleon versus Britain wasn't in Paris or London. It was Spain and Portugal. In 1808, Napoleon invaded the Iberian Peninsula to enforce the Continental System. By 1809, the situation was spiraling out of control. Spanish guerrillas attacked French troops relentlessly. Villages rose in rebellion. Supply lines were cut, and Britain stepped in. Under Sir Arthur Wellesley, later the Duke of Wellington, British forces landed in Portugal. They fought alongside Portuguese and Spanish allies. This was a new kind of war for Napoleon's armies. No decisive battles, constant ambushes, a hostile population. French soldiers called it the Spanish Ulcer. By 1811, over 300,000 French troops were tied down in Spain, troops Napoleon desperately needed elsewhere. Britain had found a way to fight Napoleon on land without challenging him directly in Europe's heart. In 1809, encouraged by Britain's resistance, Austria rose again. This became the War of the Fifth Coalition. Austria hoped Napoleon was overstretched. Spain in rebellion, economic unrest across Europe. British gold funding enemies. For a moment, it seemed possible. Napoleon suffered setbacks. At Ospernessling, he was defeated for the first time in a major battle, but Napoleon adapted. At Wagram, he crushed the Austrian army. Austria was forced to make peace. Yet the victory was costly. Napoleon was winning battles but losing stability. Britain had survived once more, and Europe remained restless.